Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Day 2 of spring football practice out here at Miami. Really looking forward to sharing the information I have from today's practice. Again, watching 7 periods of action, which is almost half of practice, which is great to see. In particular, one-on-one stuff that I would definitely want to share to you. A session with over 20 plays. I've got the full rundown on who stood out, who struggled in some of these one-on-one competitions that we saw today. But overall, it's just great seeing one-on-one action. But before I get into that, and definitely stay tuned because there's some good stuff I want to share. Offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson spoke to the media afterwards, and there were a couple things that stood out to me about some things that he said. Notably, he was happy with the progress that was made in terms of some national ranks from the year before he got there to where they were last season, but really noted a big point of emphasis of improving even more is really cutting down the turnovers. Said they had 7 turnovers inside the red zone, a couple at the one. As you all remember, different personnel, new quarterback this year. Maybe some of that will help. Obviously, quarterback did have some turnovers last year, but overall as a team, they've got to cut those down, in particular inside the red zone. They'll be able to obviously be more productive. Obviously, it gives you a better chance to win if they can cut down on some of those. So that's a point of emphasis that Coach Dawson shared with us after practice. Okay, let's talk about one-on-ones. I know that's why you guys tuned into the video, to hear my thoughts and what I saw today. I want to start by saying that Xavier Restrepo had one of the best catches I've seen at practice in a really long time, and everybody's going to be talking about this catch. And he was lined up one-on-one against Michelle Powell there, and Cam Ward was the quarterback. And from my point of view, I was watching Xavier. This was one, unfortunately, that we couldn't get video of. There's portions of practice we're able to get video, so you're not going to see video from the reporters on this play. So I'll do my best to explain it. And basically, Xavier's running up the field out of his break, and it looked like Powell was doing a good job with his leverage. Didn't want Xavier to go to the outside. It almost looked like Xavier's route should have just taken him to the middle of the field and got that easy 20-yard catch, because Powell was so much trying to really cover the inside part of the field. But Xavier really kind of set him up and then made that hard break to the corner pylon. He didn't go to the middle of the field as it looked like he should have, or, it looked like that was more maybe the open play. So that just kind of explains to how difficult this catch was, because Powell was in good position. Then the ball's traveling, it's a 40-yard play. So the play is going down to the end zone. The ball is thrown in there. And again, Powell's in pretty good position. And we've seen Xavier create separation off the line just in these 2 practices. But this was one where there wasn't a lot of separation. Powell was in position, and Xavier made a leaping catch and came down with the ball. And it was extremely impressive. A coach ran by all the reporters and talked about how pretty of a catch that was. And we certainly all saw it. Our eyes are raising. It was one of those catches. And again, it's not really surprising to everybody because, as Dawson said, he makes these kind of catches all the time. And again, for me, the reason why it was so impressive was because you don't always see a smaller receiver be able to make that jumping, leaping, contested catch. And Xavier did that. And it's not that Xavier necessarily surprised by some of the things he's able to do. And even he talked after practice about a lot of different things. And he happened to be one of the players. It wasn't one of those things where, we wanted to talk to him. He was already designed to talk to us. And he talked about how he feels, even, I don't remember exactly his word, but, he feels doubted, and I'll post the interview so you guys can see exactly what he said. But, he still feels that. And I was wanting to ask a follow-up, but couldn't get it in. But I was curious on who he really feels that from, and essentially if he's surprised, because the production's been there. And just from these 2 days, and I know it's only 2 days, and I've always been impressed by Xavier, but it just feels like there's another gear he's really tapping into. It just feels like he's going to be even better than a year ago, and I think that should be very encouraging for the offense, for Cam Ward, and just overall, in general, it's certainly fun to watch a player continue to develop, even though he's already put together a really good season. So just a really highly impressive play by Xavier. Really, it's the most impressive play we've seen in a while, and he definitely deserves all the credit he's giving for the play he made, because it was highly impressive. And I don't always say these things about typical plays. I've seen a lot of good plays over the years, especially in practice, but it was definitely impressive. Okay, so let's get into the rundown. The over 20 plays, I'm just going to go through it on my phone here and just kind of give you guys the information. It started off with Elijah Arroyo kind of catching a pass over the middle with Jaden Harrison coverage, so that was good. Restrepo, again, beat Powell for a catch. This was the second play. The touchdown comes later. Jacoby George drew a flag on Jadis Richard, who had a really rough day, which I will get into as you hear this. Basically, Richard had 4 reps in these one-on-one situations, 2 flags, gives up a deep touchdown, and allows a catch. Not a good performance by Jadis during this one-on-one sequence. But okay, here we go. Play 4, Shamar Kirk drew another penalty on Freeney. So a couple penalties by the defensive backs just to start it off. Riley Williams with a catch over Markeith Williams. Ray Joseph made it look easy against Savion Riley there, another catch. Michael Redding III kind of have a quick catch on Miles Muyong, the walk-on cornerback, who earlier in our previous period had 2 nice pass breakups on basically, it's kind of 2 wide receivers and 3 defensive back drill, and Muyong came up with it with some big plays. So good to see a walk-on make plays. He batted down a ball in the end zone, nearly had a pick on a short play, just dropped it, so 2 pass breakups, but good to see out of the walk-on, and certainly Miles has been a guy in the program contributing as much as possible. Okay, moving right along here, JoJo Trader, and this has been a theme of what I've seen these 2 days, but caught a bomb over Daryl Porter, and what JoJo's doing is he's getting off the line really quick, creating a lot of separation. It's looking like straight 9 routes, and he's getting behind the defense, regardless of who he's going against Daryl Porter, one of their top corners on the team. Blew by him, came up with the catch, a deep touchdown catch. So he's off to a good start these first 2 days of practice. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from JoJo. You guys know how I feel about him, so I'm not surprised, but you're always wondering how it's going to translate immediately. Not surprised. The talent is obvious. His speed is really impressive, and I just like how he's come in already and make big plays just from what we've seen in drill play and some one-on-one action here. Okay, next rep, saw Jackson Carver kind of wobble out of his break. Didn't come up with the catch. Zaquan Patterson in good coverage there. Zaquan's looked good in his size. Also earlier in practice, one of the periods we saw with some special teams work. Watching Zaquan involved with that. He's a guy that blocked a lot of punts at the high school level. I'm excited to see if that's going to translate, if they can kind of move him around. The special teams coaches there trying to get him involved heavily in some punt blocks stuff. We've not seen, a lot of punt blocks over the years. Maybe Zaquan can kind of step in there. Again, I think he's going to have a big role in his first year. Special teams and with the base defense there. Robbie Washington's a guy that had a good day. He burned Dylan Day deep, came up with a touchdown there. Good to see. Again, a lot of success from the wide receivers and the offensive players, as you're hearing. Jadis Richard thought he had an interception defending Nikar, but he ripped off the helmet of Nikar in coverage, got flagged with the penalty, so the interception didn't count. It was a clear penalty, even though he kind of tried to state his case to the referee. So not a good start from Jadis. As I mentioned, a rough day overall during this session of one-on-ones. Elijah Lofton had an easy catch. It kind of goes deep on a walk-on there. And then the Xavier Restrepo thing with the touchdown on Powell. Once again, that was extremely big-time play. Moving along, Jacoby George beat Richard on a short pass. Shamar Kirk beat Daryl Porter deep, but it was just an overthrow. Didn't see who threw it. It's just tough. You're hearing me. I only mentioned the Cam Ward. It's tough seeing these one-on-ones as to which quarterback is going. I didn't tally it all. That might be something to look at in the future, but it's just happened rapid fire and be able to tally everything. It's hard to always get the quarterbacks lined up. In case you're wondering why I'm not saying that, when I'm kind of doing the list of plays here. Safety Markeith Williams had a nice pass breakup on a walk-on. Ray Joseph goes deep on a walk-on there, and then Michael Redding, drew a flag on a walk-on. So that's what I have there. And then again, JoJo Trader in his next rep goes deep. Once again, looked almost very similar to the Porter play. Just kind of goes deep down the sideline on Demetrius Freeney. Gets a touchdown there. Elijah Arroyo dropped a ball with Jaden Harris in coverage. Robbie Washington goes deep, kind of an easy deep play on Taylor, and then Nikar finishes it off with a really impressive touchdown. We're on the sideline, and Carr's running up the sideline, and it looked like Richard was in good position. And what I did notice was with Richard, Nye kind of got him on some speed, but Richard kind of really turned his hips, and you saw his speed in action where he kind of made up that ground just within this 40-yard play. But Carr kind of catches it on the near, kind of like right at the beginning of the end zone and right near the pylon. And Jadis looked to be, like I said, he got back into the play, which was good, but didn't get his head turned around into the right position to put his hands on the ball to break up the pass, which was disappointing. For the offensive standpoint, always good to see a young guy come down with the pass, and Nightcar got the touchdown. So that's how it ended. Certainly, as you heard, if you're kind of listening to all this and tallying how the offense did compared to the defense, certainly a much better performance during this session with the one-on-one session with the wide receivers, the tight ends with Arroyo getting involved, and Lofton as well. And, this is similar to what we saw the first day. The offense is just kind of operating, the offensive guys are having better performances during these drills in terms of the defensive backs, particularly with the wide receivers. So that's something to watch for. We'll see if it continues. One thing I noticed the other day too, and I didn't mention it because there's just so much to get to, but Ray Joseph I thought looked really good on the first day, and he's one of the guys, there's been multiple guys, but he's been one of the guys in the first 2 days that has stayed after and catch passes. That's not surprising. Ray did this last year, but seeing him out there, it's good to see. Shamar Kirk, I think, was another guy today. And also the quarterbacks. Judd Anderson was out there kind of working with Emory Williams and just kind of watching them kind of work together for the second straight day after practice. And they just seem to have a good connection. Just something to kind of watch for. Haven't had a chance to ask them about it, but, they seem to be working along pretty well, the quarterback situation there. So it's good to see, maybe some other faces. I didn't mention Duke Johnson's a student assistant coach working with the running backs. I'll have video on him working with the running backs, but in particular the running backs going through drills. Seeing Trevante Citizen, I think people are curious how he's going to look this spring. He changed his number from 6, now he's wearing 23. So I'll post that video. I've got a lot of video that I still need to put out there. A lot's going on right now. So the running backs, also another former Hurricane out here, saw him at practice, and that's Tommy Streeter. Obviously, anyone familiar with Inside the U knows that class that he came up through was very important to Inside the U when we were coming up as a site. So Tommy, it's always good seeing him at a ton of his games in high school, and obviously covering him here at Miami. So that was great to see. Certainly an impressive player. So that's good. It's always good when guys come back, especially guys that you don't always see all the time. But Tommy, I know, has certainly been in the area and been around the program. And certainly, I understand it. I'm talking about receivers, the passing game. The first day, talked about Cam Ward, the quarterbacks, and again today. I know there's a lot of other positions, and I did watch other positions in the other 2 days. I just haven't talked about them as much. But I want to talk about a little bit just with what Inez Cooper had to say after practice. He's down to 335 pounds. He said he played at 350 last year. Goal is 330. Feels lighter. Whenever guys lose weight, particularly at some strength positions, I'm always curious if they feel, because they're always going to feel lighter, the bigger guys in particular. But I'm always curious if the strength is still there, because it's one thing, a guy like him has been so strong, and he said, when I asked him, he said, it feels like he's still strong, just feels lighter and feels good about that, be able to move a little bit, kind of get down in his stance a little bit better as well. So he's doing great in terms of that. He definitely was a guy just over his football career. To be able to be at 330 right now, I think he looks great. Looks different maybe than what you guys have seen. Kind of cut his hair. Said it was just getting too hot, so kind of a new look for Inez. But then, he's still with that first unit, still at right guard. Kind of talked about the offensive line. Again, I'll post his interview so you can see what he had to say about the offensive linemen, the new guys, and kind of how things are working right now. The other thing, which is great to hear from players that Inez had to say, was he's been talking with Ruben Bain and going at it, and he's really looking forward to one-on-ones on Friday. They're going to be in shells, not full pads, but they'll be in shells, do some one-on-one stuff. He said he's really looking forward to that. He wants us all to be out there. Hopefully we're able to see the sessions. We are able to see a little bit of the offensive linemen going up against some linebackers and some drills with the way, the practice has been structured. So that's been good. We have been able to see some contact there. It'd be great to be able to watch O-line, D-line. It's one of my favorite things to be able to see out at practice. So that's all for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the one-on-one rundown that I did. It's something I want to provide to you guys. So hopefully we're able to be out here for those sessions, continue to be. It's definitely great when we're able to be out here as much as possible to relay as much accurate information with our eyes as we can. It's one thing to hear things, but I always like to be able to see things from my own eyes and kind of put things together, my own thoughts with what I see, and again, relay that information to you guys, the fans. So that's what I look forward to doing. I want to thank everybody for watching. Everybody that commented on the video before, I will get to your comments. I apologize for not doing that, but I appreciate your support. A lot of the comments talked about football being back, and glad to, that I'm essentially doing these again, and I'm glad to be able to do that. So that's good, and I'll get back into the swing of things with football. There's a lot to get to. Got some more videos to chop up, so definitely stay tuned to the website. More highlights from practice. As much as I can post, I will definitely do that. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for your support. Have a good rest of the day, and take care.